Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is March the 31st. We've finished one quarter of the year already, and I'm coming to you from the southernmost little tip of Ontario. And weather is playing games on us. It was quite nice for a day, and now it's cool, and it was rainy out there this morning. But I guess it's going to stay cool for a little while. We're not going to get the spring weather we were dreaming of. But I have to tell you, last week I did see my first robins. Actually, I saw, I don't know what you call a big group of robins. There were 7 or 8 of them all in a area on the grass. I've never seen that many robins together ever. Usually it's 1 or 2 and that's it. But anyway, so in my mind, spring isn't that far away if I've seen robins. So we'll see if the weather gets nice in time for Easter. So we are all here today. For those that are just happening by me for the first time, welcome. First of all, I'm so glad you found me. For those of you that are regulars, thank you again for supporting me and stopping to watch my videos. This is the video that people wait for every month, and it is where we do a slideshow and we show the items that everybody made based on the inspiration for the month. So very quickly, I'm going to flash up the inspiration for the month. And I think the first thing I should do is show you what it is I made. Now, I'm not too sure about this. First of all, I'm going to show you a picture. It's called the Wishing Well shawl. Here's a picture of it done by the designer, who is Emily Marie Davies, and she has a website called Hooked Hazel, and she has a number of her patterns on there for free, and she has a number of patterns that I quite like. And if you look at it, you can see she has her base color, main color, and then 3 different colored stripes. Well, that's what I did. It is a crescent shawl. Of course, I was using black and other colors, and here it is. And this is about as much as she has at the very end after the 3rd stripe. And I look at this and I say, it's really, really wide. I mean, it would go way around somebody. But it isn't very deep. And would you want a shawl that was that narrow? Not much to that shawl. Certainly goes around and then some. Now I could wear it at the front. I don't know. Now I think part of the problem is that she, I believe, did this in DK. I, of course, was working with fingering. And I suppose it might block out a bit, but this was done all in single crochets in the back loop. I thought I'd never ever finish it. Now, when I was choosing my colors for the month, I had one more color. First of all, I had this much green, which is the ball I showed you, along with this yarn barf. I had this much red left, pretty close to half. And then yellow was the last one, the wider stripe. Not wider this way, but wider across. And there was just this much left. I didn't measure them. And I still have a little bit of black left from a full skein of 100 grams. And I've been thinking, and I wouldn't mind your opinion on this. We've got this green all over the place. I still have, not only did she, I think, use DK, and she probably used a bigger hook. I did use a 4.5, which is larger than I usually do with fingering weight. I usually use a 4 or even a 3.5. This is a 4.5. I still have this fourth color, and I've been thinking that I could, like, to make this black row the same as the other black rows, I could use what I have here. I'm sure 1, 2, 3. I think I have 4 rows or 5 rows, and usually there's 9 or 10. Would I get 4 more rows? I'd definitely get 2 more rows and maybe even 3 more rows. I thought of making this black a little wider and then ending off with this on the outside edge. That's why my black is still attached. If I decide, not that I really want to work on this any longer. I'm not particularly fond of it, and it isn't very big, but I might make it a little more wearable for somebody if I did a little more black and then put as much as I could of this color on the outside edge. Do I leave it as it is, or do I do a little more black and finish off with this extra color and make it a little bit wider? Or just say, that's it, I'm not going to do anything with it anyway, and stop where I am and not waste any more time on it. I'd be happy to hear your opinions. I want to make a decision right away whether to keep going or pack it in and move on to the next project. Yeah, I can't say that I enjoyed this project. I had a bit of a hard time finding something that kind of worked, and single crochet in the back loop, not my favorite thing to do, but when it gets really, really long going around the crescent, you feel like you're never going to finish a row. So that's what I made this month. Usually I enjoy the items I pick for our mals, but sorry to say I did not enjoy the one this month. So I think it's time we get started. Oh, for those wondering, you've seen this many times, but there may be some people that are new. And this is made out of latte cake, and it's the Agatha reading shawl from Ophelia Talks. I wear it very often when it's chilly down here. Alrighty, let's get started with our slideshow. We're going to start off with Cindy from Costa Rica, her monthly square. And I want to tell you, I had a conversation with her. You probably don't realize when you look at this that that square is 2 feet by 2 feet. It's not just a small square. It's a quite large square. And she says they're much larger than she thought. So she's not going to make a blanket using 12, doing one every month for the whole year. She's only going to use 6 of them. And then I'll explain after 6 what she does with that. So that's our butterfly mosaic square for the month. Next, we have Kimberly, who is in Florida, and she did these squares with the skulls in them. And these are by Creative Works by Annie. Then Rebecca did this keyhole scarf, and I believe she said she made it up herself as she was going. Rebecca's from Mississippi. Then we have Bonnie, who lives here in Chatham, and she is still continuing with the butterfly shawls. That is a tutorial from Fiber Spider. And Robin, who is also in Ontario, has made this hat, and she said she did not follow any pattern. And Denise, who's in Minnesota, made this hat and cowl set, and again, didn't follow any pattern. Melissa, who is in Pennsylvania, is still working on squares for the Corey Dallas blanket. I hope I'm saying that right. It is a pattern from Expression Fiber Arts, and over the course of the year, she'll have enough for the whole blanket. Then Deb M., who is in Arizona, has made this bag. This bag is for her daughter, whose favorite color is yellow. And Judith, who is in California, has made this sun bunny by Miss C's Cottage. And I hope I got that right. Always enjoy the various amigurumis. This is followed by Lillian, who is in Singapore, and she has made this square. She hasn't told me what she's doing with the squares. I don't know if there's a plan or not. Then Nina, who is in Massachusetts, has made this lovey. Matches very well with this blue animal. I'm not quite sure what animal it is. And then Susan in New Jersey, she said this is a basket pattern, but it's doing very well as a plant holder, like a pot, holds a pot. And Donna, who is in New York, has made these zippered pouches, and the designer is Tina Thorudottir, Thorudottir. They have a YouTube tutorial, and I am sure I butchered that name. Then we have Maria, also in Massachusetts, and she has made this green and white, and I'm saying that because she told me it was green and white to go with the butterfly, but I don't know, but on my camera, on my tablet, it really didn't look real green. And this is a boggy blanket, and it's called the Daphne Afghan by Tony Lipsy. And Jennifer, I know you've told me where you live, but you didn't this time. People, you need to tell me every single time, because this old brain doesn't remember if you only tell me once. She has made this hat, and it's from Crafting Kitty Creator Spotlight. And HD, who is currently in India, made this amigurumi. Didn't tell me anything about that. And she's also made this dress for a child or a toddler. Maybe it's baby size. It's hard to see in a picture how big something or small something really is. And then we have Diane, who is in Wisconsin, and she's made this small table cover, and it is a pattern by Betty Hetchman. I'm going to think that's what it says, Hetchman. And Lori M., she's in PEI, has made these mittens. And she didn't tell me anything about the pattern. Sorry, people. And Wendy M., who is in Pennsylvania, she is participating for the very first time this month. And she made this, I don't know if they call it a shawl or a wrap. The pattern name is Cacophony, and it's one of the patterns I have on my Make 9 collection. So Wendy, you'll have to tell me how hard that was. Then Carmen, who is in California, has made this hat, and I think it's called Kid Stuff Stripe Beanie, and it's from a Leisure Arts book called Celebrity Slouchy Beanies for Family. I think you've used that before in the past, right? Then Tina, who is from Australia, has done this 9-patch square. She's making this 9-patch every month. She says they're 40 by 35 centimeters, which, if I know my conversions correct, is about 16 by 14 inches. So it's a reasonable size. And you can see the butterflies in the squares, and she's going to put it all together in a blanket at the end of the year. Then we have Heather, who is in Ontario, and she has knit this shawl that is called the Alira shawl, and it's a pattern by Amba O'Brien, well known in the knitting circles. Then Ellen has made, from Illinois, has first made this vest, and she's trying to decide if she wants to add sleeves and make it into a cardigan. And then also she's made this top or tee for the summer. Then Linan in Florida has made this scarf, and it reminds me a bit of the Sophie scarf that is very common or very popular right now in knitted circles. It's a little lighter than the one I made, that I was trying to get that look. And then Severin, who is in India, she's made quite a few things here. The first thing, I'm not sure, it's something hanging. I'm not sure what it's meant to be. And then she has an amigurumi dinosaur and another amigurumi. You must enjoy making amigurumi, Severin. Here's a little kitty. And finally, we have a knitted hood. These must have been colors you liked working with. Then Demetra, who is in Ontario, has made this gnome that's called Natasha, and it's part of the Never Not Gnoming series by Imagined Landscapes. And she has also made a pair of black socks, and here's a perfect example. Yes, they're black. She put a ball in the picture to show me. The first picture didn't look black, but that's why I mentioned being really careful and taking time over making your picture, taking your pictures, so that we do get the true color, because I didn't think they were black when I first saw them. And I'm going to talk about that, colors and stuff, in a minute at the end. Then we have Janet, who's from California, and she's made this blanket. I believe it's called Better Together Afghan. Next, we have Barbara from Alberta. She's made this tank top, and it's called the Patapsco by Audrey Drysdale. And Michelle, who's in Utah, has made this tiny tablet cover. I thought it was a phone cover, but it must be a very small tablet. And then Josephine in North Carolina has made this amigurumi, and it's from, I guess, a series, Animal Friends of Pika Pau 2. I don't know if that's part of the name, Pika Pau 2, or if it's a book called Friends of Pika Pau 2. P-A-U is that word I'm trying to say. I'm not into those things. Barbara B. is in Missouri, and she has made this doily made from crochet thread. I think Barbara has done a few other very fine doilies for us in the past. Then we have Fran, who's in Ohio, and she's doing this Anna's Squares, and it's from Ophelia Talks, I guess it's her pattern, who is on YouTube and has the tutorial there. And Linda from Illinois has done the scrubby dishcloth. And Lillian, who is in Ontario, has made this tricolor cloche. Now, you heard me say the name of it, tricolor cloche, but she says, yeah, I used 4 colors. And Rosanna in Ontario has once again made another wheelchair lapgan. She makes them monthly. And Tammy, also in Ontario, we got a real run Ontario here, has made this coaster. And moving on, Renee, who's from Alabama, has made this toddler size hat. And Lindy, who is in Indiana, has made this top. It's called the Celine shirt, or maybe Selena shirt, from Crochet with Carrie, who is on YouTube. And Debbie W., who is in California, has made this chicken egg cozy, and it's apparently a Hobie tutorial. I'm thinking from their Hobie YouTube channel. And Raylene in Australia has made, it's a dog coat, and it was from a YouTube tutorial called by Erin B. It's called the Crochet Dog Sweater. And then she's made this butterfly key ring, again from YouTube, and it's called Knitting Love. And Lori R., also I believe in Indiana, has made this gnome. The pattern is from MJ's Off the Hook, and it's called Periwinkle. And I'm going to come back and use this as an example for my comments later. Then Jackie, who is in North Carolina, has made this cowl, and it's a pattern by Crystal at Bag O' Day. Then Bonnie in Pennsylvania has made this pattern from Hirschner's called Lace and Brace Headscarves. And Kathy, who is in Ontario, has made this blanket. And Kathy didn't tell me whose pattern it was. She usually does. Then we have Lori, who is in Michigan. And she has first done this pressed flower. Yeah, it's just the one. She has done this pressed flower bookmark. And the pattern is by Emma Hay, H-A-I. And then Kathy, who is also in California, has sent us a picture of what is her first attempt at a sweater. And it is called the Echoes Pullover by Rachel. I don't know if it's Meisner or Misner, M-I-S-N-E-R. And Marie from Virginia, again, has done a blanket. I know that it will go to Boggy Creek later in the year. And it's a pattern by Creative Grandma, who has a tutorial on YouTube. And Debbie P. has also done some bandanas, and Debbie is in Arizona. And Vicky is in California. We're getting quite a few people from California. Has done this blanket that she apparently designed, and she has made it for Boggy Creek as well. So that brings us to the end of our slideshow. And I don't know if you keep count while we go, but we had 49 entries this month. So we're keeping up there. I suspect a couple people maybe didn't have time because they were working on my other mal, my winter mal. And I also suspect a few people did smaller items for the butterfly mal because they were doing 2 at once. And I know some people said, I have to hurry and get this done or that done to get them both done in time. So that is 49, which I think is great. And I want to talk once more about colors. I'm trying to be, I don't know what the word is. You probably think I'm trying to be more miserable, and I don't mean that. I have watched other YouTube channels that do mals based on something. Like I have this year, the butterflies. They may have the marquee picture for a movie or a book or a flower or whatever they're using. And they're very precise about you use the colors in the picture. And that's why this year I tried to make it plainer that we're only using the colors in the picture of the butterfly. It's the picture colors in the butterfly and not a whole lot of other colors. And 2 things to be aware of. First is how you take your picture. When it's all done, look at your picture and see if it is the colors that you used, because cameras and lighting and all the rest of it can change the colors. Maybe you take it outside in the sunlight and get the best colors, or in the shade outside often is a better way to take the pictures. I don't know what to suggest to you. I'm not a professional photographer by any means, but I really do want to ask you to take a picture in such a way that when you're done, the colors look like the colors you used. A perfect example was the one pair of socks that I mentioned didn't look black. They looked denim blue to me in the picture. And so Dimitri very kindly retook the picture and sent it again so that it did look black, because I would, even though she used the right color, if they look denim blue and I put them in the thing, you're going to say, well, she didn't use a color in the butterfly. And I don't want people, upset because I allowed somebody to use a wrong color. And that's not the case. It has to be with the way I get the picture. Now, here's another example of something to be careful of. I showed you the butterfly at the beginning, and I'm going to show you this butterfly. And I'm also going to show you, and I hope you're okay with this, I'm going to show you the screenshot that one of my viewers took, and I'm going to try and put them both on together, side by side. I may have to do one after the other, but I'm hoping there's a way you can see these two butterflies and realize that when you take the screenshot, make sure you look at the picture and it looks like my picture, because it's my picture that we're going by, because that's what everybody is seeing. What my picture may be the wrong color, but it's the picture I'm showing to everybody, and everybody is using that for their inspiration. And you can see, because she circled it very clearly, how her picture had a color in it that was not in my picture. And again, because that was the picture she used, I let it go this time that she used that color, because that's what she had to work from. But when you grab a screenshot, you want to be careful that there aren't filters or something in your device, whatever you're using, that change the color of the picture. And if worse comes to worse, you probably have to come back to this video and stop the video when I'm showing next month's colors, so that you can get the right colors. We all want to be working with the same photo, because that's what I'm looking at when I'm accepting your finished objects. That's the only real rule. I have two rules. One, it must be colors from the picture. And two, it must be made in that month. So when I show you the butterfly for April, it must be made in April. And use those colors, of course. Other than that, it's pretty free. You can do any yarn craft. You can knit or crochet or dye yarn or weave or whatever using yarn, and you can make any object you want. I put no, you see people make very small items, and other people making larger, like blankets, something that takes a fair bit of time. I put no restrictions on it there, but it must be the right colors and made in that month. All right, so next we want to see the next month's butterfly, of course. So get ready. Take your screenshot, but be careful what it looks like afterwards. Maybe you need to be holding a camera, taking a picture of the screen. I don't know. But here is the butterfly for April. Hopefully, I have left it long enough for you to get your screenshot or do whatever you're doing, because I know a lot of you do take a screenshot or something and hold on to it so you have it for easy reference in picking your colors. Now, not a lot of color choice this month like there was last month. And again, I want to say last month was a busy one, but you did not have to have every color in it, and you'll get busier ones coming up in the future. If you want to use only one color from that picture, that's perfectly all right. One color, there's only really two in this butterfly, so it's not going to be 5 or 6 colors. And I did add one exception I would make, and that was if in making the item you needed to have a neutral in there, I was okay with white or a neutral color like white. So where is mine? I'm going to put the picture up to the side, and it was pretty easy this month. I have black, of course, and then I have this yarn that I have 2 skeins of. So I think that's pretty close to the green on that butterfly. This is actually a tonal from Sweet Georgia, and it's Cash Lux Fine, which means I believe that it has 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. An MCN yarn that has 420 yards in it. And I know of 1 or even maybe 2 patterns that I think there's a CJ Brady pattern that takes 2 skeins of one color and 1 of the other. Now, the black is an EFA yarn, and it's called Blossom Fingering. So it has 50% viscose bamboo, 30% merino, 20% lyocell. This is quite soft. Well, yeah, they're pretty close to the same, being that this has cashmere and this doesn't, but bamboo is often, and so is lyocell, quite soft. So I'm going to get to work on it this week. I'm going to start the month working on this, so I am sure to have lots of time to get it finished. I was working under the wire on the one for March because I was doing so many other things in March, and that green I think is pretty close to what the picture is. So, and I may end up just doing 1 green and 1 black if I'm not happy with the pattern that I think I might make. But I do have 2 if I decide I want to do something bigger. So I'm going to put that in there. And once again, I haven't been on top of my game, and I did not bring down my wheel, so I have to go and get it. So you'll have to excuse me for a minute, and I'll be right back. All right, here I am back. Just before I spin the wheel, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, a reminder that a person cannot win 2 months in a row. And Ellen was a winner last month, so her name is not on the wheel this month. The other thing, I have decided to make a small change. You can win no matter where you are in the world, but if you are in Canada or the US, you will win a cake of yarn. And once again, I did not bring up the cake of yarn, but you know how the color changing cakes look. I have different ones. Most of them are cotton or cotton acrylic. If you are somewhere else in the world, I still want you to participate. And I've had some of you say not to put you in the spin, because if you win the prize, when it gets to you, it's very expensive to accept the prize. And I learned when, I think 2 months ago, Raylene won, and it was like 3 times the cost of the cake to mail it to her. She's in Australia. And I definitely wasn't going to pay that to ship it. And we went down till it was a reasonable amount, which is fine. I shipped it. But it's going surface mail, and they told me it could take up to 3 months to get to her. And I thought, oh, nobody wants to wait that long. So this is what I've decided. I will ship a physical cake of yarn or something. It's probably going to be one of those gradient cakes until I run out. If you're outside of Canada, US, then I will, if you are a winner on the spin, I will give you a free pattern in Ravelry. Either way, whoever wins needs to please contact me and we'll discuss things from there. But if you're in the Canada, US, which is probably 95% of my viewers, I will need your address. So here we have the wheel, and I'll get up real close and we'll get it spinning. And that's Linda. And Linda is in Illinois. I think you won last year at one point, didn't you, Linda? So I likely have your address, but please get in touch with me anyway, just to let me know that you saw this. Thank you, Linda. So we have only one more thing to take care of, and that is a deadline date. You have the yarn, or you have the colors, I guess I should say, and the date, it's going to work out better in the month of April is going to be a kind of a weird month. The 30th of April is on a Wednesday, and I am definitely going to do this slideshow on a Wednesday, the last day of the month. I haven't decided yet. I guess it depends what my week is like when I get a little bit closer to the end of the month, whether I will do the slideshow on the 30th and then the Wednesday and my regular on Thursday. It's a lot of different videos to make. If I do it all in one, it's a pretty long video, although I can do a little less in my regular video. I'm going to, when I get closer to the time, decide if I do them separate, that's fine. If I do them together, I'm going to put my Thursday one in with the Wednesday. So for 1 week, I won't be coming to you on Thursday. I'm going to try and do 2. We'll see how it goes. I think I can do 2 for that 1 week. If you're not sick of seeing me. Are you sick of seeing me yet, folks? You saw me Thursday, Saturday, and again today, Monday. You're going to get a wee bit of a rest. It'll be 3 days before I get back to you on Thursday. So, having said all of that, I'm going to make the deadline April the 27th, which is a Sunday. The Sunday night, they must get to me. I won't be able to take anything late in the month of April because I have to get right at it on the 28th and get that video going. Like I said, it's a 2-step process, and then, of course, editing and uploading to get it ready for the 30th, and I will be doing 2 videos in that time. So, once again, Sunday, April the 27th, is the deadline to have your April item to me. And Linda is the winner, and I must write that down. That's Linda. I only have one Linda at this point. I have so many doubles anymore. It's a lot of work to keep them all separate. So, that's it for today, everyone. I will be back to you on Thursday when it's time to talk about Stash Down. So I'll be back in your face again in a couple of days. So until then, happy hooking.